So I'm going to, can you see the 3 questions, or do I need to move them to the answer?
No, you have to get them started before I can see them.
Okay. All right. So we'll go to the answer. RE, a non-sexual betrayal amidst physical and emotional affairs, porn, cyber sex, etc. Is it rational thinking that my husband says he regrets lying, but the activity, months of lying about whereabouts and spending huge amounts of dollars, was it enjoyable and worth it?
Well, I'm still trying to get to Ray, a non-sexual betrayal amidst physical and
RE, a
emotional.
non-sexual,
Right, but I'm
regarding
not
a
sure
non-sexual betrayal amidst physical and
in the middle
emotional
of.
affairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
see.
So the
Well,
challenge is it rational thinking that my husband says he regrets lying, but the activity and the spending
right.
huge amounts of money was enjoyable and totally worth it?
Well,
I put
first of all,
totally in
I
there.
don't, just to read in a little bit, I don't know what a non-sexual betrayal is, but it sounds like some kind of romantic betrayal, or it could be a financial. We don't exactly know what that is. So I'm just curious what that is. Because if there's a lot of sexual acting out going on, and someone says, well, I'm just emotionally involved with that person, it's likely that they're being sexual too. So I don't know about that part. Um, I don't, I can say, so the other part, I can say lots of things. Can say, I'm sorry. I can say, I wish I hadn't done it. I can say, I'm just really got issues, and, I couldn't help myself. Um, I can say a whole bunch of things, but I don't know. The way that I would tell if an addict regretted lying was how they lived their life going forward. Because, I don't know whether they lied or not. I don't know what the reality is. And if, that's sort of what I was touching on in the beginning, is if all this stuff is going on, you don't yet know what's true and what wasn't true. So I think, I don't know, I don't see anything, as Tam would say, about therapy, about support groups, about places and environments where you could begin to answer these questions together. It's a great question, but it's sort of a question that makes me think that this is someone who hasn't had a lot of experience working on these issues, or hasn't had someone to guide them. What do you think, Tammy?
Well, and I was thinking that it's somebody who's still caught up in the fantasy of, it was all this great stuff, rather than being able to look at the reality of the situation of, like, the lies are part of this, but spending huge amounts of money and being unaccountable for whereabouts is, are the 2 things that you mentioned. And at what cost, there's a disconnect to me of, like, yeah, that was totally worth it, even though I completely hurt my family. I've spent money that I didn't need to on something that was probably not helpful for the family resources. So to me, it feels like an addict living in the fantasy of, it was so great, rather than the reality of, there's a whole bunch of things that were really hurtful to someone else. So that was my
Yeah,
take on it.
and I would agree with you, Tammy. And I want to say that, when I most regret lying is when I've been caught. That's when I really
Yeah.
regret having lied. As long as I get away with my lies, I'm really not that worried about them. But, so you're nodding your head. Your thought, Tammy.
Well, yeah, and I'm also thinking, and this feels like somebody who will be close to running right back to those problematic behaviors, because I'm still thinking it was great. It was great. And had I not gotten
Right.
caught in the lies, it was still great. So this feels like somebody who has not dealt
Right.
with reality yet, and is still living in
And
denial.
And to me, this is a spouse, again, who doesn't know a lot about the work, but really wants to find a place that they can feel comfortable. And so if he regrets it, then, or she forgets it, sorry, if they seem really remorseful and regretful, that's going to make me feel better. But there's a larger process at play, and I'd invite you to, Tammy, maybe you can drop in there one of the support groups for partners are, or we don't charge for these things, and maybe you just want to, seems like you need more information, and I really want you to get support from people who are going through what you're going through. So yeah, should we move on,
Yeah.
Tammy?
And
Sorry, I didn't mean to give you
well,
a task.
one quick, no, that's okay. But it's one quick thing too. It's like, and setting healthy boundaries, like accountability with money, and like, transparency with, where someone is going. So it feels like, to me, there needs to be more accountable accountability, but healthy boundaries for you as well. And yes, I will put some resources in the chat in just a moment. So, okay. Next question. And someone said, thanks for doing this on a holiday. You're welcome. We're glad you're here. So if our children find out about SA because of recovery information we have in our room that they might have seen, what are your thoughts on what to share once they already knew the issue exists?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is how old are they? You know, if an 18 or 17-year-old walks into your room, it's very different than if a 11-year-old walks in, you know, and, you know, 11, pardon me, someone who's 11 or 12 or 9, they may see it, but they may not connect it to you. They may just think it's something you're reading about or something you're learning about. So just because you deeply connect it to you doesn't mean they're going to pick it up and say, oh, well, that's dad or mom, you know? So I don't know about that part. Also, I am a very strong, what is the opposite of advocate? I very strongly believe that we should not tell our children about our sexual lives. And if they find things out, then we're going to explain it in the least harmful, the least direct. This is not a spouse. Your job is to protect your children. If you want to protect your children, you don't want them waking up in the middle of the night thinking about mom having sex with the postal worker. So, you know, we speak in very non-descriptive general terms. But I don't think I'd run to my kid and say, well, let me show you. I noticed you're in my room and you saw this. Let me tell you what it means. Because they may look at you like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sometimes we take our own guilt and shame and project it onto other situations. And then we're like, oh my God, you know, I feel bad that they must have found out. And I don't know. Tammy, what are your thoughts?
Well,
I'm going to go out of this frame for just 1 second.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Yeah. I think it is premature to think that your children know that this is about you and you're not just investigating a topic. I also think it's a good reminder to leave things that we don't want children to see, you know, in places that are not obvious for them to find. So, you know, we can be, you know, and that's the same. Mm-hmm. I hear often about betrayed partners who are, you know, are reading the workbooks, you know, that their partners are doing their 4 steps, you know, again, you know, keep it close to you because all of those things are, you know, tempting, but that's not the appropriate way to learn information. So, but when children, you know, you can always, if you've created a relationship, created a relationship where they can come to you and ask you questions about things, you know, then it is up to them on some level if they're old enough to ask questions. But I really agree with, you know, no kid, I don't care how old, you know, wants to know about their parents' sex life. And it's okay to say we're struggling. You know, we've had some issues. We're both working on it. We're doing, you know, we're taking care of us. It's not about you, you know, but otherwise when kids find out, I can't hear
Let's
you.
go on to the next question. I can hear it. You can't hear me. Oh my God. Okay.
I can hear you now. Right. Okay. I just wanted to say,
well,
but
when
kids find out, then giving them support. Okay. Okay. All right. The next question.
Sometimes my doggy wants things and I have to attend.
I know, but I was right in the middle of a sentence. So anyway.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. So reach out to me if you want to hear more. Okay. Thank you both for your service. I've been in SAA attending online Zoom sessions for the past 2 years now and found it extremely helpful. And I have worked the steps. I am now working them for the second time. Good job. I have not, however, found comfort or community in the in-person meetings. At the advice of my sex addiction therapist, I have attended SA meetings for the past 3 weeks. What are your thoughts on the different two groups? Do you have a personal preference? And can I attend an online SAA still if I go to SA in-person meetings? Yes. SLA. Yes. I try all of them, you know. Yes. So I'm really glad you're working the steps, and even within, you know, so the groups all kind of get their own little personality. And like when I was looking for a new home group, you know, I went to different meetings, and then I went into one and I went, this is my home group, and I found, you know, the people. I mean, you find the sponsor, you find the people to connect with, you know, etc. So even within any of the 12 steps, they still, they still have different ones. I was traveling and I found a fantastic meeting, and I'm going to be up there again at the end of this week. And I'm planning to go to that meeting because I was like, I love this. And it's a little different format, but it was a great meeting. And I really felt a connection with that. But it's always take what you need and leave the rest. And all the different 12 steps have a little different philosophy and how they approach things. So understanding where you align and where you don't, but again, take what's useful for you. But if you really connect, it would be meaningful to me to connect in person with someone in an S group. And if it's a little different version, it's all fine, but yeah, I do try them all, and try different meetings, not just, the 5 p.m. on Tuesday or whatever you're going to. It's like check them all out.
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
made some notes, and yeah, Tammy, more is more. I mean, this isn't like dessert where you're going to have too much. You really can't spend enough time hearing from people, learning from people. I've heard people say, well, isn't going to meetings addictive? And I think, well, hooray, going somewhere where you get support, where you get to know people, where they're giving you answers and role models. I don't think, especially in the beginning, you can do too much. I wrote some stuff down. You said comfort or community. So the number one reason that I go to 12-step meetings is to stay sober. So working to find comfort. I may never feel comfortable in 12-step meetings. It may be too public or too open. And so as far as the comfort part, you may never be completely comfortable. I mean, there are lots of places people are uncomfortable, but the reason I go to meetings is not necessarily to be comfortable. I go there because I want to get sober and I want to learn from those other people how to get sober. And as far as the community piece, I do think that if your meetings are mostly online, I mean, I do think people can get sober online. Thank goodness that there's been a place during COVID and all that stuff for people to come to, or things would be a lot worse. On the other hand, things are opening up. And one of the more valuable things I think about meetings is going to have a cup of coffee with a couple of people. That's on some level as important as all the rest of the work, because we used to hide out wherever we hid out, and we were alone in our acting out. And it's so, so important to build these relationships. And you really get the feeling of what a sponsor is when you're in that room. You really get a feeling of what it is to support other people. I don't think I had the kinds of friendships with men that I learned to have until I went to those meetings. And so I think it's a different experience to go to meetings, and I really encourage you to do that. I think it's even more important if you make community. Don't wait for it to happen. People say, oh, we're going to go out for coffee. Go. You may feel incredibly awkward, but someone's going to say hi, And as far as the groups, I agree with Tammy. I think that everyone has a different flavor, and they are different, working slightly different things. Some are more for the married people, some are more for the single people, some are more for the people who just deal with porn, some are more for the relationship people. So they've started to spread out. But we also have Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous. Like, they're all drugs, but everyone kind of needed their own little space to feel like, okay, this is where I belong. And so, yeah, you can't spend a lot of time in the wrong meeting because you're going to learn something no matter which one you go to. So I would say don't worry so much about which is the right place, which is the wrong place, how many times should I go, and be more focused on asking people if you can help them. If you don't know how to ask for help, or you don't know what you need, or you have trouble building relationships, ask if there's anyone you can help. You've done the steps, you've been involved in this, you can help other people. And I bet Tammy was going to say, what about service? When you've gotten to this point, well, Tammy, let me give that one to you, because I think that's a Tammy thing for
Yes,
sure.
You've been through the steps. You are far ahead of many people who are walking in the door. Be of service, be willing. Don't go, oh, I'm not ready to be a sponsor. Yes, you are. You're ahead, and you can lean into your sponsor and lean into other people. But I love the, can I be of service? Can you read, read something? There's numerous things that are read at the beginning of a meeting. Offer to read. That's give out the chips, and whatever it is, be of service. Be connected. I love getting on peer group connection, and then you are on the list to reach out to other people, and they can reach out to you. So it is, and I did put in the chat the list. We have a bunch of links on our website that will take you to the various ones, and they talk about, what they are, what they're focus is, and you can also find out how to learn more about those particular groups. So it's a valuable resource, but
I,
keep going.
I had one more thought here, Tammy, too, which is people work the steps, but sometimes they do it in therapy. Sometimes they do it in a book, and so I didn't hear, and, for whoever's listening, even if it isn't you, I think that the steps should be worked on with someone else who's in recovery, preferably a sponsor. So if you were just going through this with a peer, or you're going through with a therapist or a clergy person, that's fantastic. But I would really want that person to be in the rooms of recovery in order to walk through those steps. It's not just like going through something with your therapist and working your heart out. It's about building connection and reducing shame. And my therapist will never make me feel ashamed, but sitting in front of someone I don't know as well, and they might, it's really important for me to get that out there with someone who is going to have been where I've been. So that's what I don't hear, is who you worked on these steps with. So I'll throw that out to you as well.
True. Yeah, which hopefully was a really good sponsor. So, okay. And you're doing it again with another sponsor or the same sponsor. Next question. Any suggestion for getting my PA spouse to leave me alone? 3 months from last discovery, 42 years married. I feel I can no longer deal with all the blame, shifting, projection, etc. I am seeking therapist. He says he is also, but no real evidence. I am doing all I can for myself right now, but just need peace. He says he makes the money, therefore he makes the decisions. So trying to figure out how to pay for the therapist. Oh,
Wow. Okay. So tell me, when you say leave me alone, it almost sounds like this thing about boundaries we talk about, which is boundaries are things that I set and not someone else. So I can't make someone leave me alone. It just means they're still not listening to me. They're still so focused on themselves that they want me to do something for them, like accept their apology or whatever, or have sex, whatever it is. So for me, it's more about how can you take yourself out of this space, as painful as it might be, and as much as you have to detach from people. We all have to detach from some degree from people who aren't nice to us. And if someone in my life, forget a spouse, if my friend Tammy here started blame shifting, projecting, saying, I've got a problem, and I would probably say, back off. Can you back off, because you're confusing me? I don't understand. So I wonder if you can create some space between you and this person to get more of a reality check, more support. I don't, and by the way, you have no reason to believe him. So he says he's seeking a therapist. So when you say I'm doing all I can to care for myself now, but just need peace, have you changed the locks? If he doesn't live with you, have you blocked his phone number? I have seen people sit in meetings at the other side, love addicts, in so much pain. Tammy, I've seen someone in a meeting say, oh, I know she's going to call me and I don't know what to do. And, every time my phone rings, I think it's her. And, I have to come up after the meeting and say, did you think about blocking their number? Oh, no, that never occurred to me. So there are very simple things that you may be able to do to create some safety for you. And by the way, the making the money part, I'm not a woman, but if I was a woman, I would feel really incredibly insulted about that. Like, being half in a relationship doesn't mean I'm half in a relationship, or I'm not in the half that you want me to be in. So now I'm mad at them for you. I know. What do you think, Tammy?
well, I was too. That's why I did. I don't know if you've consulted a divorce attorney, and I don't know what state or place you live in. And I know it's different in various places, but, usually the settlement for spouses, particularly ones who've been around 42 years, is, you get half. So half that money. I don't know, I'm not a legal person, so don't, take this with a huge grain of salt, but for many people, just consulting the attorney and understanding the reality of, what it would look like, and telling their spouse, I'm your actions have consequences. I am going to go consult a divorce attorney because I want to know what my rights are. Sometimes, that can help shift the message as well. But yeah, I really hate that. Like, what a power and control play. I make the money, so therefore, there's no room in that for, I care about you. I'm sorry that, my behavior has been so hurtful, and I want to build this relationship, But I also hear 3 months from the last discovery, which means this has been a series, and I don't know how long, but this isn't, unfortunately, your first rodeo with this, and it's still the same rodeo, because he's not changing, he's not doing things, and people, even after 42 years, actually can change. They can understand that this is a problem, and I want to do things differently, so it can get different.
I do have a suggestion, by the way, that's more direct, which is I do consultations, and I do them online for 2 hours, and I do them with couples, and they cost money. But I got to tell you, there's not a couple I've worked with that didn't end up hearing what was most useful for them, whether they wanted to hear it or not, whether they liked the way I said it or not. You guys know from being around here that I'm a pretty straight shooter. And so in 2 hours, I've been able to gather the information about this and really be able to challenge the person. Could be either one, but usually it's the person who's lying and the person who's minimizing. And what I do in those is I really listen to the partner, and I make the addict listen to the whole conversation with the partner, and then they look at what they've done with me and that their partner and I have talked about, and then I turn to them and I'm like, didn't you, and I'm the same person in the room, one hopes. So this is a perfect example, and there are many resources, but I will just say this is a perfect example where I could do a consult and listen to the whole story and say, something ain't right here. There are also there's a betrayed partners group that we're starting. I don't know when that's in June, right, Tammy?
I actually, it's starting again in June 8th, and I put it in the chat. So
Okay.
the betrayed partner work group starts again June 8th. So that is from a codependent lens. It's really good content, very supportive, $350 for the entire 6-week course.
Well, I'll also say that I wrote the course, and so I know what's in there. I think there's 6 weeks, and then there's another 6 weeks. But it's all
there's
about
2 levels,
detachment.
but yeah.
It's all about fair fighting and detachment and boundaries. And, do I have to forgive if I'm not ready? And it's all about, and I feel so crazy. I love them and I hate them at the same time. And all of those issues that we know you guys go through, we actually put into our course. And I don't talk about things that I don't think would be useful. So, yeah, that's a good start. By the way, I've seen a therapist.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
But I was gonna say, I really hate that, like I really hate that you're feeling like I've been married to this man 42 years, and he's, and you've got to figure out how to pay for a therapist, because of his like, I mean, it's so unfair and unjust that he isn't going, yes, I'll pay for your support, goodness, after all of this. And another discovery again 3 months ago, here's the checkbook, so anyway. Okay,
I feel
next
bad
question.
for you.
A few weeks ago, you gave us a link to an article on the difference between sexual and sensual touch. I am wondering if you remember that and can share it again. Was it Sensate focused? I bet it was.
Yeah, maybe that was it. You put it in there.
Okay, I will find it,
I think,
and put it in the chat in a minute. Okay.
and let me just say what it is that Tammy's putting in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are in when couples are having to learn when couples have problems with intimacy, whether it has to do with erectile dysfunction or vaginismus, it could be physical issues or it could be emotional issues. This is a process of guiding people through physical intimacy that starts with things that you don't even think are sexual, like colors and sounds, and goes all the way through touch and sexual touch, physical touch, all the way through. And there's whole kinds of exercises. So it really is about going from sensuality to sexuality and having it be an integrated experience and a little bit longer experience than simply penetrative sex. So yeah, Tammy's going to drop that in the chat when she gets a moment, or I can find it if you like.
Well, I'm finding the Johnson and Johnson long stuff, but I'm not, like, if you remember what you shared. But let's go to the next question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my wife is ready to move on. She feels she has done everything in her power to make our relationship work, and she feels at peace with her decision. I have been trying to show her I can change now, be the partner she needs. I honestly believe I can, and have surrendered to the process. I don't want to manipulate her. I'm torn between showing her I can change and making it easier for her to move on. Should I accept she has made up her mind and I have had my chance, or should I fight for the relationship?
You have to start, Tammy, because I just got a Sensate Focus reference for these folks.
Okay.
And I will read while you're starting.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So please. So my I think it's too little, too late to concentrate on her. She's at peace with her decision. You know, at this point, you working on you and me. Who knows what will happen in the future? But you trying to show her, look, no, really, now I've changed. I yeah, that was the Sam. So can you put that in the chat to everyone too, while you've got it?
Oh, sure. What I love about this reference actually is that it goes through what are the stages and it explains.
Thank
It looks
you.
like it looks very therapeutic, but it's actually gives. I mean, it looks very fancy, but it's actually very easy to read.
Thank you.
And I like when it goes through. You know, you do this and then you do that, and don't do this and don't do that. So here you go. Thank you, Tammy.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
So back to our question.
Did you do it to just host, or did you do it to everyone? Can
I
you do
hope
it
I did it
to,
to everyone.
no, you just did it to host and panelists. I will, let's finish this question. We're getting scattered tonight. So I will copy and
It's a
paste it and put it to
holiday.
everyone in
No,
a minute.
it's
But
already done. I
let's
did
talk
it.
about, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
There's the link. It's
Got it.
www, in case you're watching this on a recording, smsna.org. Patients, did you know what is sensate focus and how does it work? So you can replay that if you need to. Okay, so my wife is ready to move on. I don't want to manipulate her. I'm torn between showing her I can change. You showing her you can change. There's no downside to that, but it's you showing you that you can change. Because like what I hear is now I know I can do it. Now I really believe I can do it, but you haven't done it yet. So so I think honor her choice, and it's not about fighting for the relationship. It's about changing you to be the person, you know, that you need to be, whether she's in your world or not. And I don't know if you have children. If you have children, you will always co-parent them. So showing up at a get together, a graduation, a wedding, or whatever, and being a person of honesty and integrity and being different, you know, she'll see that and hopefully appreciate it, even if she's not back together with you. But if you don't address these issues, you will carry them forward. You will live in your lies, and any other future relationship will be affected by that. So it you know, to me, you know, trying to win her back, fight for the relationship, you know, if she's made peace with her decision and moving on, she's made peace with her decision and is moving on. So
yeah, to me, this feels like a stage of grief. You know, it's in the first sentence, she's moving on. And so it doesn't really matter what you do. You know, this is this person's, and by the way, I say this in a lot of my work, I haven't said it here in a while, but the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. When someone says, you know, I love you, I care about you, but that's very different than I can't believe you ruined my life. There's actually a lot of passion and connection still in there. So when someone says they've moved on and, you know, they're in the process of it, what I see in you is grief, which is kind of bargaining, like, well, if I showed her this, maybe she would change that. Or, and I hear some remorse, like, I wish I'd done it this way. And so next time I'm going to do it that way. And, you know, this relationship's over. And I hope that in the next relationship, or as many as you have, or even in your friendships, you've learned a whole bunch of lessons from this pain that is going to drive you forward to be a better person. I would say 3/4 of the men we see seeking integrity maintain their relationships, but there is that maybe eighth or something. Their spouses decide during treatment that they don't want to be with them, and it was the first time they had enough space and time to think about it. And what I go through with the addicts is grieving, you know, along with their whole process. I know what it's like to have someone break up with me that I really loved and think, if I just said this, or maybe if I call them in a few weeks when they, you know, this is all just, to me, this is the part before you cry. This is the part before you get really, really sad and realize that it is what it is. And then you're going to need a lot of support.
yes, because ultimately, you know, you can't change the past, but you can make sure that you don't carry this forward. And in addiction, it's really easy to go, well, that didn't work, so now I'm going to go right back to the same problematic behaviors that, you know, that got you to this place already. So do the work for you. Do the work for you. Make sure that you are absolutely digging into your recovery. You've got the, you know, like you probably have more time now. So focus on your recovery. Do everything you need to do on a daily basis for your recovery. And that will help with your grieving process, because as you're doing the steps, hopefully you've done them, but or are doing them. But as you're writing things out, you will see the patterns, and be able to address, making a living amends to her. Maybe I'm letting her go and I'm not going to fight her and make her life miserable, clawing at her ankles going, keep me. So you don't need to do that. So, I bet
Yeah,
she had probably for years been saying, you need to change, you need to change, you need to change. And now when the door is slamming shut, it's like, oh, I can change now. So unfortunately, but you can change. You can change. So
I also hear
other
a little bit
thoughts?
of what you were just talking about, Tammy, which is I finally got the exam done, but the company that was delivering it has already left, and I'm running after the bus that the exam company, and I'm waving it in the air saying, no, I got it done. It's too late. It doesn't matter whether you
Yeah.
did it or not, or hopefully you did it so that next time you'll do a better job on the test. But they're gone, and there's nothing you can do about that. So you need to just put that down and get a lot of support, because you'll have to. Acceptance is where we are at. That's what we're all about when we can find our way there.
And
Let me say
all
one
kinds
more
of
thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
references to acceptance in the big book. So hopefully you're reading the 12-step big books, because acceptance is the key. So there's a whole paragraph that I have used a lot for myself. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
I'm done. It's
Okay. All right. Next question. In British Columbia, Canada, we have a local CSAT to help me with my recovery. We are 3 months since Discovery Day. My wife is having a difficult time trying to find a CSAT for her as a betrayed partner. Do you have any advice for us? Yes, email me, Tammy, TAMI at seekingintegrity.com. I've got great options for you, including in Canada. So, but yeah, this is not one I can answer online. So Tammy, TAMI at Seeking Integrity. Tell me where you're located. But yeah, there's one in Canada that runs prodependence therapy groups, as well as, does Prodependent Alliance. There's more too, but the one I'm thinking of would be probably a great help for her.
And I love going up to BC. There's a number of people that we've worked with over the years and I think you've done some trainings up there, if I recall. So like people from the Seattle area have come down. And so
Yeah.
there's actually quite a few good people. Drop Tammy a note and she will
Yes.
make a referral or two for you.
Yes. Can you speak to the role of forgiveness and surrender in the healing process for a betrayed partner? I understand why my husband made the betrayal and deception choices he did, and forgive him for me so I can heal, but struggling with, have fear if I can really take the risk again, even though he now seems serious about recovery after 16 years of chronic infidelity and many discoveries. I hear you.
I'm over here. Let me see if I can put this in the chat. Give me one sec. I'm looking for, so let me just say it to you. I wanted to speak to the forgiveness part, just because a lot of folks think we have this idea that, will you forgive me? Yes, I forgive you. And then some line has been crossed. And that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a series of stages of things like grief. And you may forgive and then you may be furious. And, it's a roller coaster until you get to the point where you just say, I'm at peace with this. And, and even then it might come up a little bit. So I don't think about forgiveness so much as moving in the direction of healing. I'm more, how can you heal your relationship? How can you come to peace with it? And realize that may take a while. Do they say how long? I struggle with a
It doesn't
fear.
say, yeah, no, it doesn't say specifically, but the fear, I can take the risk again after what seems like serious recovery after 16 years of chronic infidelity and many discoveries.
Right.
So it feels like he's on a good journey now, but it's been 16 years of chronic infidelity and many discoveries.
Yeah, I don't know how long you've been in a relationship that's healing. And I don't know if you've read any of my work or any of the work on betrayed partners, or again, you might go to the betrayed partners group, because I think the people we're with want to be forgiven a lot faster than we are necessarily ready to give forgiveness. And it's so that they can feel better, because for us, forgiving them is not for them. It's for us to be at peace. And so, if someone who betrayed you for 16 years is asking at a year, at 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, when are you going to forgive them? I think the answer is when I am at peace with that, and I don't know when that will be. And leave me alone, because they're looking to you for something that they can't get from you anyway. So, they need to find it within themselves. So in a way, I think it's an organic process, and you just kind of know when you know. But that's provided as Tammy would say, you're in an active process. I didn't hear, I don't think, are you in a support group? Are you going to talking to other partners? Do you have a therapist who understands how to work with these things? Because I think the more you can learn and know from your perspective, not just reading the books, but actually being in the support, it'll help you understand. But don't let anybody talk you out of your feelings. You can be angry as long as you want. In fact, do you mind my saying, Tammy, we had a discussion on the consultation group about this, where one of the therapists said, it's been a while since the disclosure and the spouse is still really angry. And at what point is it not productive, this degree of anger? The yelling, the screaming, the chasing, the going through everything. And I think the answer is that we don't like to put timelines on things, but I think if a couple is actively working, both have support, the addict is really working on their recovery and doing the things they need to do, I think by a year, the partner should probably be less openly angry, and really, the sarcasm, the cynicism, the chasing, the rage, the wanting them to leave. I mean, that should slow down a little bit. And part of the reason is when someone's really doing a good job in recovery, I mean, really dedicated, and you see that, and they're getting out a year and a half, if you're still in that same furious place, at some point it becomes disincentivizing for us. It's not productive. Now you're just, this person is angry all the time, and I'm the one who's really been working on things, and I'm beginning to like myself, and I'm not sure I deserve someone who's that angry. So at a certain point, and I can say a year and a half, I don't know what it is for you, but if someone's really working on the recovery and you want the coupleship to heal, the anger needs to dissipate. And I can't say when that is for you. But we do need at some point to walk. Anyway, I'm not even going to say it. Tammy, your thoughts?
Well, and you don't mention anger, and I don't know the timeline. So what I hear is you acknowledge, that he's working on it, and that you understand that this is from his brokenness with addiction, and that he does appear to be really working on recovery. But I want to also acknowledge your fear, because I 100% after 16 years, and now he has some months, let's go with some months of like he's finally doing the right thing. But you had this whole time of 16 years of thinking that he was, your partner, or you had some discoveries, but now he's going to do better and all of that. Of course, you're going to have fear. And I think you will at some point, if he continues the journey and he continues to make it obvious by his actions that he's becoming trustworthy, you're going to start to trust him in little ways, not 100%. Unfortunately, I don't think you will ever be able to trust him 100% again, because the person that you thought was would never hurt you has shown that he can. But you can, like, I think it can be a really minimal, like at some point the risk, and you'll have created this different space. But I think it's not uncommon, nor is it unrealistic to have that fear. So what do you need to do? Like, you've survived all of this. So, if something bad happens with him again, you will survive. You are resilient. You will come forward for this. Will it hurt? Sure. Will you feel like, oh my gosh, here we are again? Sure. But you are resilient, and you can navigate through it, hopefully with really good support. So they're not, it sounds paradoxical, but I don't think they are. I think it's like, you can have that fear that this could happen again on some level, but also have the knowledge that you will survive this. But you can also appreciate that, in his addiction, he did these horrible things, but at some point, I need to give it space, like Dr. Rob was talking about. I need to give space for creating, some healthy relationship space, so that it isn't, I'm always angry and he's always, like that is not a healthy place for either of you to get stuck. So, but I don't see them as, mutually exclusive. So, okay. Are you ready for
I
the
want
next
to add
question?
something, just one
Oh,
more thing
please.
about that. Hold on, I want to see what. So first of all, one of the things you said in here is, I am struggling with and have fear if I can take the risk again. One of the most important things we tell spouses after having been lied to and cheated on and manipulated and all of that stuff is trust your feelings. Now is a
Mhm.
really important time to trust your feelings. And if you are afraid that that bad things might happen, or you might get lost, or you might feel like you've made a mistake, and then you're not ready to do this. And it's really important that you listen to what's inside of you. And again, go to support groups and education and get the validation for what you feel, because I think what you feel is accurate. And what I want to tell you is you don't need any information from us. It's already inside of you. The other thing I wanted to say is, if you and I were in a relationship and I was the addict who cared about you and you were the partner who cared about me, we're both in fear of the same thing.
Mm.
I'm afraid that I may lose my sobriety and then I may act out and then all these bad things are going to happen. And you're afraid that I'm going to act out and you're not going to trust me. And so I think that's something that we can share, as uncomfortable it is that, wow, this is a scary process. And either one of us could, kind of get all of our dreams and hopes dashed. And you might just start there, because if he's really in recovery, then he's afraid. By the way, the people who say to me, oh, I've really got this, I'm not going to act out again, I've got it, I worry about those people. It's a person who says, I'm worried that this could happen again, and I'm doing everything I can because I don't want it to, but I'm afraid that it might. That's someone who's aware. That's someone who's paying attention. So if I got hit by a ladder, I'd probably pay a lot of attention when I walk under another one. So in any case, there is a commonality that the two of you have in the fear that things are going to get worse again. And I think that's some place that you can start.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great point.
Thanks.
Okay. My PA husband and I have been sleeping in separate bedrooms for 8 months. However, I feel like I'm getting too comfortable in doing so and not sure where to go from here. He has been working very hard in his recovery, and I'm proud of him, and have also let go of the harsh resentment I was feeling towards him. I just don't want to sleep with him. What is wrong with this picture?
Well, first of all, I just want to say there's a difference between sleeping with someone and having sex with them, and sometimes people conflate those things. So lying next to someone is not having sex with them. And by the way, that can be made a distinction. Like, we're going to sleep together in our PJs, whatever, and we're going to wake up together, but we are not going to be sexual. So there are ways to approach. Because if you think, well, we're going to sleep together so that we're just going to start having sex again, it doesn't have to be that. Pardon me. I love that you feel proud of him. I think that's a wonderful thing. I think that's very clear and wonderful. I'm really glad. And this is that transition I was talking about, Tammy. I've let go of the harsh resentment I was feeling. What a beautiful thing. That means you're more at peace. That to me is what's really important. I don't know whether he wants forgiveness or he's hoping to get back in the bedroom, or what he does or doesn't want. And, he deserves to want that. But I love your saying that you let go of the harsh resentment, because that means your blood pressure went down. That means the bitterness in your gut is alleviated. And so to me, that's the most important thing. Now, as far as not wanting to sleep with them, I think it's a very much a trust your gut kind of thing too. I would wonder though, it's kind of like the sensate focus. Maybe you're not ready to sleep together, like young people may not be, but are you going on dates? Are you holding hands? Are you doing things kind of like that sensate focus that approaches a place where you would want to hold each other? Are you, I'm thinking, brushing someone's hair, giving them a massage, doing different kinds of things to have physical contact, and then separating. And I would also want to look into it for me. What exactly does not sleeping him? I agree that you shouldn't do that if you don't feel like it. But what does it mean to you? Does it mean you've given something up, or you're giving in, or that you shouldn't be angry anymore? Or once he's in there, then you can't get rid of him because you'll feel guilty? I think there's something underneath that's true for you. And I might sit down and just write a page on why I don't want to sleep with him, and what that means to me, and take a look at it a couple of days later and say, is that really what's going on? So I would do a little more exploration, and everything else here looks really good to me. Tammy?
Yeah, and I would, I often hear of people separating, but there's not really a plan of of how do we move forward? What are the expectations? What do I need to see in my partner in order for us to come back together? And it kind of feels like that with this. It's like we've been separated for 8 months, and I'm happy going to my bed, and like it's made the way I want it, and whatever. But like now you've kind of become roommates on some level. So I love what Dr. Rob was talking about of like, writing about what it means to you. And I think I would also include, what is it I'm looking to see in order for us to sleep together, not sexually, but like if we just slept in the same bed, what would that look like? How would I feel about that? Like, is that scary, or is that like I'm willing to consider that, So I think exploring more of, how you feel and what you would be looking for in order to sleep in the same bedroom initially, and then at some point, when you're ready, initiating sexual contact. But I love that you're asking this question, and I hear lots of, like Dr. Rob said, I hear lots of good stuff too. So
I wanted to just say one more thing. I was making a list of today is a day off, so just happens to be, and so my husband and I were free. We had the whole day together, and I was just sitting down. It occurred to me to make a list of the things we did. So we rode bikes, we played with dogs, we shopped, we went to the beach, we talked, we walked, we ate, we laughed, we gardened, and we shopped. All of that is so much more meaningful to me than whether we sleep in the same bed or not. That I know, again, those are the intimacies that would build me up to a place where I would want to sleep with someone again. And so how are you having fun together? How are you enjoying each other? How are you building a place where you can't wait to be closer rather than sitting back and saying, should I or shouldn't I? I think this is an experiential thing, and you have to be in it to really know what's right for you. So I had a good day too.
I can tell. I heard shopping twice. So
Really? Oh yeah.
I swear
Well,
I
there's
heard
that.
it. I heard it. Okay. Next question. Addict partner is saying if he doesn't have sex, he will face temptation again. What do I say to that?
I have some choice words that I probably shouldn't use here.
Please
Why don't you
do. No,
start,
please do. Because
Tammy?
I'm thinking, because I'd be like,
Okay, wait. Ask me the
it would be
question.
not
Go
my
ahead.
problem. So, okay. So if the addict partner is saying if he doesn't have sex, he's going to face temptation again. What do you say to that?
Fuck you.
Yeah, well, that was harsher than I was going to say. I would be not
Oh,
my
I
problem.
told you it was
So
going to be
yeah,
harsh.
yeah,
Poor
yeah,
baby. You
yeah,
had sex with
yeah,
everyone in the world, and now if I don't do something for you, excuse my sarcasm, then
yeah,
where does that put the responsibility on my problem? It puts it on you.
yeah,
I mean, what could be more troubling? And it also reinforces that thing that partners often think, which is, well, maybe if I just have some more sex with you, or if I dress sexier, or I lose 20 pounds, or whatever it is, then blah, 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 blah. It doesn't, none of this is about you. This is about the person who's acting out and their problem. So someone put a smiley face to my screw
oh,
you. I don't mean harm to anyone. It's just, this is a very troubled person. This is this is gaslighting you. This is making you feel responsible for his problems or her. And and by the way, we're going to face temptation again. Do you think we don't have sex with in the evening as an addict, and the next morning we're out there having sex with whatever? Of course we are. I know a bunch of people who talk about, I had sex with my spouse and then they went to sleep and I got up and got into the porn. So it doesn't matter. We have sex 100 times a day with you. You could dance on the head of a pin naked and it wouldn't really matter to us, because we have a desire that has nothing to do with you, and it doesn't really have a lot to do with sex. So this is it makes me angry. Can you tell? Because it's so manipulative. I hate that you have to be asking this question. But I'm glad that you came here to ask this question rather than just sort of folding in on yourself. So thoughts, Tammy?
yeah. I'd be like, that is not my problem. You have call your sponsor. Do you? I mean, I don't hear
Mm.
any recovery work. This just looks like, instead of me acting out with someone else, I want to act out with you, and so you are just simply a replacement for the porn, the sex worker, or whatever else he was doing. So, or she, but to me, It's not going to fall off if he's a guy. It's not going to, oh, if he doesn't have sex, it's not going to fall off. He will be fine. There are other things he can choose. What recovery work could he be doing right in that moment? He could go be of service in a 12-step meeting. That would be different. That would change his focus. I mean, there are so many tools to use. Every addict is triggered on some level, and every addict faces temptation. I mean, it doesn't. One of my addictions is alcohol. You don't think that there's alcohol I don't even know
Everywhere.
how many places within a mile of me, do I choose to look at it as temptation? No, it's my problem, not anybody else's. So, I'm with Dr. Rob. I would,
You just
yes, I
won't
would just,
say, I mean, and you're
I
too
won't say
polite
it. I won't say it.
to say that, but you're not surprised that I said that.
No,
By the way, we face temptation all of our lives, every one of us. I say I'm only going to have one
yes,
cookie. I have two.
yeah,
Everyone struggles with that, but addicts have no impulse control, so they're
yeah,
tempted and they just go do it.
yeah. Yeah, and this is so manipulative. It's like, well, if you just give me
Oh,
sex, then I won't be tempted. And therefore, if I go act out, it's your fault because you didn't give me sex. Like I take zero responsibility for any of my actions. I get to blame you for everything. How convenient.
and please excuse my sales pitch, but you're someone who should be in the betrayed partners group. It's worth the money for you to sit there and learn how to take better care of yourself. By the way, this is a boundary. This is what we call a boundary. When you say, people are like, what are boundaries? Well, when someone says, I'll be better if you do this, you say, I'm sorry, that's not my problem. And I don't want to put it on me. And it never had anything to do with me. And in fact, you've hurt me. That's a boundary. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be responsible for it. And I don't believe you. What a wonderful gift to yourself. And by the way, you can say, if this spouse says, well, I don't like what you said, you can say, well, Dr. Rob and Tammy said so.
And
Because
he can
in
say
this case, we
whatever.
are
He
right.
can say F us too, but he's a candidate for our treatment program. Honestly, that's the kind of stuff, like when I hear that, I go, 14, 21, or 28 days, we've got a residential treatment program. And that's the kind of stuff, not just stopping the behavior, but that's the kind of stuff that we work on. So,
And
okay,
the guys
next
are watching
question.
right now, I think, actually.
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, love and sex addiction. Any thoughts on the dynamics of dirty laundry that has been aired? So sad. I have compassion for both of them and hope they find peace and serenity. Do you want to, I
I,
mean, I will not answer any of that. So, but
well, all I can say is that if I had really ugly things that were going on in my life, I wouldn't want to publicize them in front of the world. And to me, the choice to publicize things in front of the world is more about publicity and being famous and being, entitled on both sides than it has anything to do with healing or even financial redress. When you say I don't want to be in the news, and then all you do is put yourself in the news, or I don't want my private life. I don't want to be anyway. Don't get me started. It has nothing to do with. So I would disagree with you. I don't feel sad or compassionate for these people. They have gazillions of dollars. They're famous. They live in amazing houses. They have chefs and cooks and people who work them out. I don't really have a lot, and I live in Hollywood. I know what it looks like to have that kind of life, and I don't feel badly for these people at all. Now, if you are living a life with several houses all over the world and your own jet, and then I really invite you to be compassionate for them. Now, excuse my sarcasm, but I go there. So, Tammy, that was my response. I think you're just going to let the whole thing go, right?
yeah, I, it, public stuff. I care more about, let's talk about you guys. Newly in the process, I am the betrayed partner discovery 4 months ago, educating myself. Please come to that betrayed partner work group. I put it in, so it's on the Seeking Integrity site. It starts June 8th. Educating myself in several support groups weekly. I've read that couples should take a break from sex. What are your thoughts on how long that break should be?
Well, Tammy, why don't you start? I know what you're going. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'll follow you up. How about that?
So
I'm looking for
so
counselors
I'm
groups.
gonna quote Dr. Rob. Dr. Rob says, why would you have sex with someone you don't trust? So and like I said, just with a little sarcasm a moment ago, but it's like, if you are just a substitute for the acting out, like, what is your point in having sex? I think it's one of those when, when that that you feel ready to, you don't feel manipulated to, then perhaps. So there's no magic time. Lots of people say 90 days, of going without, and I think that's a good practice. Just to, like, everybody take let everything simmer down. It's one of those where, like, get to know each other, figure out what the plan is, get on a different path. So, but you're 4 months in. I don't know if you have stopped. If it's one of those, every couple's a little different. But here's what I don't hear. I hear you're working on educating yourself. I don't hear what he's doing. I don't hear what he's doing to change, to not just stop the behavior, but to be a different person. We have a sex addiction. Yeah, true. For the sake of conversation, I use pronouns he, addict,
I'm just
she,
reading this carefully.
partner. But right. But it's one of those where, please understand, sex addiction. Everybody struggles, and there's betrayed partners. So it's just for conversation. So, but what I would love to hear more about is, what is the addict doing to really change and to become a safe person and to be trustworthy, so that you would actually want to consider, being intimate in a sexual way with that person. So that was kind of so there's no magic, well, after 90 days, the brain rewires and you'll magically be all fine. No. So.
Well, and it's only been 4 months, and I don't, I think, so the reason I said, why would you have sex with someone you don't trust? There was a reason for that. And the reason is that sometimes partners, for many reasons, will want to be sexual that are not the right reasons. Like, if I have a lot of sex with you, then maybe you won't go out and have sex with someone else. Or maybe I'll tire you out, or, maybe I'll get you to love me again if I have a lot of sex. There are a lot of reasons why, now that I know everything, and now I feel much closer to you, which can sometimes be true, no matter how ugly the truth was. At least you feel like, okay, I know what's going on in my life. And I have seen partners go forward then and feel sexual toward the addict. But again, the reason to be sexual is not because you feel safer with them, because you think it will be a strategy. The reason to be sexual is because you trust someone and feel close to them. And so the trust thing, and by the way, Tammy was talking about, trust may not be reparable. And I agree with her. I mean, there are many sayings like, trust is like a plate. You can break it, but you'll always see the crack even after you glue it back together. And I don't think anybody has the same sort of naive sense of, no matter what, that person will always have my back, once you know that they haven't. But can you rebuild a whole different thing that's amazing? Sure. You could do all kinds of things around the crack. And by the way, I hate to carry this metaphor forward, but that is the least likely place for it to crack again. That's the strongest spot now. So any thoughts, Tammy?
Yeah, no, I use that analogy a lot. And I do think, the things, we are living proof that our addiction, which was, a huge, crack in our
soul,
in our teacups. And so, yeah, but look at, like, that is where we have built our lives, like, that's the foundation of everything. And, we can have a little, fractures here and there, on other areas, but, like, my recovery is so critically important, that is a very solid place. And it's an opportunity that I have the ability to share with others in a real and meaningful way. So, yeah. Okay. Next question.
So we got one more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got one more. Okay, let's do one more. And then I have to ask one thing of all of them. So okay, I need a minute. Anyway, don't go away, you guys.
Okay, don't go away. So can you speak to why a therapeutic disclosure would be important?
You want to start that one?
So a formal therapeutic disclosure is a process. It is not a do-it-yourself, thing. And I've shared this before, but Dr. Rob has a peer case consultation group every week with therapists who have been trained to do this work. The number one topic, the thing that is most talked about, is formal therapeutic disclosure. So, but people go, oh, my partner already knows everything, or the partner says, oh, I already know everything. But there is something about that process. First of all, you probably don't. And even with the addict, they probably don't remember everything. And it isn't about all the gory details. It's about setting the structure and setting a foundation of healing. So I think having that be part of the process of, this is what we're doing to build a foundation. You build a house, you want a solid foundation, because otherwise everything crumbles. So you want that foundation so that you can work on building things forward. But it is a process. You want the right people to help you. You want professionals, and you want trained professionals. You don't want a generalist therapist. You don't want your friend. You really do want the support to do it right. So.
Well, I would just say also that writing a note to all of you people. I wrote a book called Out of the Doghouse, which is specific to how to express empathy and compassion for someone you've harmed. And that's why I wrote the book, because most men in my experience don't know how to do that. But also, I think I'm going to say one more thing about that.
And we have a work group on it. I just put the tag in for that too.
Oh, we have a doghouse workshop. That's right. We're workshopping. I was going to say something else though. Hold on. You took my old brain and distracted it.
Sorry.
Hold on. No, it's okay. We really believe that couples can't recover or move toward healing until there's an equal playing field. And as long as you have secrets, as long as there's things that that the other person doesn't know, you're not equals. You have power over them. In addition to that, if I acted out in a certain way and I got away with it, like I did 5 things, I only told my partner 4, and there's one I kept to myself. Pardon me, well, guess how likely it is I'm going to go act out on that situation again, because it's always, and by the way, when we see men in treatment, when I see people in general, there's always just one thing they don't want to say. They don't want to tell me, they don't want to tell the partner. And 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with how difficult it's going to be. That's the thing that they're most afraid of. And their spouse or their therapist or sponsor says, well, that's no big deal. It's this that bothered me. So it's in our heads what we think is the thing we want to withhold. And we don't rebuild trust by withholding anything. So do I have a second here, Tammy? Okay,
yes, you do. Yes, you have more than a second.
Hold on a second. This is important. So why am I wearing sunglasses, Tammy? I live in Hollywood. Why am I wearing, when you walk down really the street, cool. More than that, people wear sunglasses in Hollywood because they don't want to be recognized, right? So why would I not want to be recognized right now or in about 2 weeks? Why do you think I'm going to be walking around with my glasses hoping no one knows who I am?
And you won't be, but you will be on A&E. You will be talking to people because you care about people. No, you care about people and you want to help people. So you won't be going, leave me alone. You're inviting people.
I don't want
because
to really,
A&E is going to, so talk about, please share about, I think it's a great new platform that, will bring more information and education, and I'm proud that you're part of it. So I'm hoping that people learn more about what it is.
And that was my being silly, because I don't really care whether anyone knows who I am or not, except the people who need help. But A&E, the Arts and Entertainment channel, approached me a year ago, it must be, and they're starting a new show called Digital Addiction. And it's by the same folks who did Intervention. And it starts on June 13th. And it is a series of shows on people who are stuck with gaming, people who are stuck on spending, people who are stuck on porn, the problems that happen in the digital world that are addictive versus the drug and alcohol world. And so, or gambling, or things that you do in real time. And so I think I'm really proud to say I'm hosting the first episode. So, and it was done so long ago, I barely remember it. That's how it goes in Hollywood.
I remember, because I remember interacting. And then you're also doing one August 1st. So June 13th and August 1st are the 2. Yes, I do know. And I remember both people. So I'm going to be watching so that I see how it plays out. But anyway, so stay tuned. I don't know the rest of the lineup for the other, but Dr. Rob did those 2 episodes. And I do hope
hopefully more.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's really important, to have understanding and education in this area from someone who really understands this. It isn't just everybody writes a blog stuff. So.
Well, Tammy, I think it's about reducing stigma and shame. If we can get up there, I don't care if it's sensationalized or not, which I don't think it is on A&E to a certain degree, but if we can get up there and have a sane meaningful conversation with someone about their porn problem rather than being sleazy and don't care about their family, then we've moved things forward. We've moved the thing forward just a little bit. And
Yeah.
that's what I hope to bring, is some air of dignity to a problem that nobody wants to talk about. But anyway, Tammy, I could be on there for years. I'm going to really need these sunglasses. So that was a fun way to introduce it. I hope you liked that. I'll bring my bodyguards next time. So
You've
anyway,
got
good to see you
dozer.
guys.
So yeah. All
Yeah, I got a
right.
big
Bye,
dog.
everybody.
Have
Thanks,
a good
Dr.
weekend.
Rob. Bye.